And welcome in a very happy Monday to you now, March 4th, 2024, and the madness will begin here as we've got plenty of college basketball on tap here tonight. We got 6 games in the NBA. We got a little NHL to talk about as the trade deadline is approaching quickly, and it'll be the final shot that some teams have of trying to bolster that those playoff possibilities in playoff run. If you ask me, being a Florida Panther homer, you're not beating them anyway. I'm Joe Raineri here, GameTime Decisions on the SportsGrid Network. We appreciate you hanging out with us. And again, 22 college hoops games on tap here tonight. And more importantly, we've got ourselves a couple of conference tournament games going on here tonight in the A-Sun. In fact, the Atlantic Sun Conference there will be, they are off and running. And of course, with all of these mid-major programs and mid-major conferences, the only path for teams to be able to go to March Madness is by, in fact, winning their conference tournament. So when we say madness, we mean madness because usually right around this time, over the next week or so, as the conference championships get underway, this is where the madness actually begins here. As you can see tonight, we got Jacksonville up taking on Kennesaw State. And don't forget about the Florida Gulf Coast taking on Queens University. Who? Yeah, I know. Queens University, who, ironically enough, if they happen to run the table in this Atlantic Sun tournament, they are not eligible for postseason basketball. Why? Because of some absolutely stupid and ridiculous rule that requires teams who transfer from, let's say, Division II to the big boys. Well, you're not allowed. In fact, in order to be able to make that jump, you have to sit out a year. You're postseason ineligible. Now, this happened to Merrimack last year, and Fairleigh Dickinson was the beneficiary of the trip and the invite to March Madness. And do you recall what happened to Fairleigh Dickinson last year? Who did they? Oh, yeah, that's right. They beat Purdue in the first round. It's exactly what we may be happening again here in the Atlantic Sun. Queens College got a pretty good shot at possibly running the tables, but they got to win tonight. And then the madness will be off and running. We also have plenty of news going on around the world of sports here today. We've got an update on Russell Wilson. Yeah, he still plays football apparently, but it won't be for the Broncos as they have reportedly told him, we're going to take the $85 million dead cap hit just to get you as far away from this team as humanly possible. And that is exactly what they are doing, taking on a record $85 million in dead cap space just so they can get rid of him. And that's exactly what they have done and will do. Unbelievable. We all kind of thought this was a possibility once he was benched at the end of the year. Don't forget for Jarrett Stidham. Remember that fun time there, Denver Bronco fans? Well, the writing was on the wall, but they look to make it official today that it doesn't matter how much money it's going to cost them. They want you gone. As we welcome in our radio audience from around the country here on this Monday, March 4th, Joe Raineri for GameTime Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network, as we've got plenty going on tonight on this first Monday of March, and we'll have some college basketball, 22 games on tap here tonight. We will have some NBA, just 6 games, but of the 6 games, there are some very interesting matchups here tonight, and we'll start with the Lakers taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder in the game of the night, with the Lakers last having played there when LeBron celebrated his 40,000th points. And then promptly went on to lose to the Denver Nuggets in that game. That was great. But that was a couple of nights ago. And meanwhile, OKC, they had their hands full last night against the Phoenix Suns. In fact, it was a huge comeback for them. Phoenix dominated for the most part of that game last night, but a big fourth quarter by OKC put them in front. So second of a back-to-back, rested Lakers team with eyes on a postseason berth. No better way to start that than by taking down OKC tonight. The line has flipped, which is important to keep note of here, as the Lakers were a favorite overnight. They are no longer a favorite here tonight, as OKC -1.5 now, even -2 starting to pop up across the board. No real major injury concerns. LeBron and AD are in, but a lot of eyes will be on that game here tonight. That's the late night game. One of the early games. How about Giannis and company? Also with a rest advantage here, having taken on the LA Clippers here tonight in Milwaukee. The Bucks, as you can see, -4 right now in this one. This was as high as 5.5. The total has come crashing down from 229.5 as well. Now, why, maybe you asking, since the Clippers just played 24 hours ago in a absolute brutal matchup against the Minnesota Timberwolves, in which no team even got to 100 points. Well, guess what? Now they're back on the road here. This is the third game in 4 nights. I believe fourth and sixth. They have been on the road, and they have been playing a lot of basketball, this Clippers team here. So the spot is not favorable to them, not like it is for the Milwaukee Bucks. But the big concern here will be Giannis, who is still listed as questionable. So will he or won't he go? And I've got to believe that the market movement for the Milwaukee Bucks in this game, for them to for the money to come in on a Clippers team that's going to have tired legs any which way you cut it, that's a big move here. But quite honestly, whether Giannis plays or not, the spot is still in Milwaukee's favor here. And they have another guy. What's his name? Oh, yeah, Damian Lillard there, who should have no problem scoring some points here tonight. So those are the two big games in the NBA. We mentioned college hoops. All eyes will be on the Duke Blue Devils here tonight for an ACC matchup on the road, taking on North Carolina State. I think the big question is, if North Carolina State wins this game, will Filipowski be able to get out of the way of the fat fraternity guys that run onto the court? Or will he just flail on the ground screaming and yelling bloody murder that they're trying to hurt me? That remains to be seen. But North Carolina State, they need this game here, and it would go a long way into helping propel them into the ACC tournament. And Duke, in the meantime, just trying to win another game. It's going to be a battle, and so is Baylor and Texas. We'll have more on that game coming up, plus headlines from around the world of sports. Much to get to here as Game Time Decisions continues here on the Grid.
There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort
night.
of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in here. Game Time Decisions on the Sports Grid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. Appreciate you hanging with us here as we've got some headlines from around the world of sports. We'll get you caught up with. We'll start in the NHL, where it was just announced the New Jersey Devils, with absolutely unrealistic expectations this year, have fired Lindy Ruff. That's right. The longtime NHL head coach. Apparently, he's the problem why they are completely underperforming. So Lindy Ruff is out, which means I believe the assistant there, Travis Green, is going to be stepping up into that role here for the remainder of the season. Ruff was actually kind of surprisingly hired in 2020 after a kind of a disappointing run. Ranger fans will tell you that they weren't all that impressed with him as their assistant coach. He was the coach of the Dallas Stars as well as the Buffalo Sabres. And don't forget, he took that team over there to the finals in 1999. But he's been around forever. He's an old school kind of guy. And for whatever reason, it just don't seem to be working here. And the Devils, well, they have pretty much flat out underperformed here across the board. Somebody had to pay the price, and it looks like Lindy Ruff will be that guy, while the former Vancouver Canucks head coach, Travis Green, will take over for the rest of the season there. We also learned that the Broncos earlier today are set to release Russell Wilson. And while that really shouldn't come as a shock, given the fact that they benched him at the end of the season, so they didn't have to worry about him getting hurt or being locked into having to pay him, well, they're going to have to pay something, because they basically signed him to an untradeable contract a couple of years ago, $245 million on a multi-year extension, if you recall, and that was supposed to carry him through 2028. Never played a snap and signed for that kind of money coming out of Seattle. Well, as it turns out, yeah, Sean Payton, it took him all of 35 seconds this year to realize we got to get rid of him. We have got to get as far away from Russell Wilson as possible. So far, in fact, that they are willing to do something that has never been done before in the history of the NFL. They're going to eat $39 million of his contract. Now, the good news is they will avoid the $37 million guaranteed to him that would have been triggered for 2025 had he still been on the roster here in a couple of weeks. But instead, they are in total going to take on $85 million in dead cap hit. by letting him go here. Absolutely unbelievable. We have never, ever, ever seen this kind of situation before in which a team, usually if a team's going to pay you, they might as well play you, right? Kind of makes them untradeable, makes them, you can't do anything with them, but not Denver. So they have to pay this money regardless, which makes you wonder just how bad a leader was he in the locker room that they are willing to eat all of this money and eat $85 million in dead cap space just not to have him around the team. And that's basically what it comes down to here as we have the new general manager, Patton, along with Sean Payton, released a statement, as you saw there, thanking him and wanting everyone to know that we spoke to Russell Wilson to inform of his release after the start of the league year, which is within the next couple of weeks. They said they are focused on building the strongest team possible in 2024 and beyond. Well, you just ate $85 million in order to make your team building a stronger team. How bad was Russell Wilson? I mean, in addition to his ability of not a great starting quarterback to begin with, I mean, Russell Wilson was, the writing had been on the wall. Pete Carroll knew it. The Seattle Seahawks knew it. We all knew that the best days of Russell Wilson were behind him. And you still gave him the money here. You still gave him the money. You still took him on. And now, just to get rid of him and keep him away from your organization, you are going to eat a record $85 million. Absolutely unbelievable chain of events there for the Denver Broncos. But hey, stranger things have happened. Now you got to wonder, okay, so where does he land? Where does he go? What is he going to, what's he going to deliver here for another team? I don't think Denver is worried about him going to Kansas City. I don't think Denver is worried about him going to the Chargers. I think they hope he might end up with the Raiders and play against them a couple of times every year. It is just an absolutely disgusting situation there across the board. In with the Denver Broncos organization there. Sorry to hear that. We also were sorry to see that one of the Kelce's here, and you may recall the Kelce brother that even though he does wear Kansas City gear a lot, his wife won't. But Jason Kelce held a press conference here today to announce to everyone that he is in fact retiring, which is kind of ironic given the fact that I thought this was announced as soon as he lost in the playoffs here and he wouldn't leave the damn field, but I was wrong. Apparently, they had to go through the whole dog and pony show once again here today so he could announce to everyone that, yeah, he's retiring. So way to go. Way to milk every last minute of publicity known to mankind there. Congratulations, Jason Kelce. I didn't get a chance to see the retirement announcement, mostly because I already thought you were retired, as did most people here. But that's not going to take away from the fact that he is, without a doubt, a Eagles legend. He'll go down as an Eagles legend. First team, six-time, I believe. First team All-Pro. He has just about every record there in Eagles history there. So he will not be forgotten in Philadelphia anytime soon. I'm sure there'll be some sort of retiring of the number and put him up in the rafters and all that good stuff there. He is without a doubt one of the best, and he will be missed with this Philadelphia team. Make no mistake about it. He's not a guy that is easily replaceable, but he has decided that enough is enough, and he is basically going to hang it up there. Now you got to wonder, well, what's his brother going to do here? How much more will Travis have left in him? And how many more games will he show up at Kansas City to watch his brother play in Kansas City gear doing like keg stands and stuff? Very fun guy. But again, I'm not sure we needed the whole dog and pony show again to tell everyone what they already knew, which was that you are not coming back here. We also have a combine in full effect here over the last couple of days. In case you guys hadn't noticed there. Somebody ran really fast, which probably just made them a whole lot of money. I believe Xavier Worthy there has now set the record for running dead straight with no pads on. Congratulations with that. You probably made yourself a whole lot of money because you will, without a doubt, be overdrafted and be given a whole lot of money, and you will, without a doubt, flame out in the first 6 months of your NFL career, because mostly running straight never happens in the game of football. But hey, kudos to you for setting the record there, and kudos to the Tampa Bay Bucks for signing Mike Evans and locking him up for another 2 years here, which in all likelihood will mean he'll have begun his career and end his career with the same team, and that being the Tampa Bay Bucks. We'll have more on that coming up. Plus, we'll dive in to some of the college basketball games getting ready to go. NHL action here. A lot to get to here. Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort
Night.
of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome in. Happy Monday to you. Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network. I'm Joe Raineri, and we are joined by the one and only, the legendary George Kurtz joining us here on Game Time Decisions. Always a pleasure to see you here, Kurtz. But poor Lindy Ruff taking all the abuse for the Devils' inability to actually have a quality goaltender and to deal with injuries. But he did get the axe a little while ago, we learned, and we were just talking off air. We love that whole fired coach system where you usually get a little bump, out of teams once they fired a coach. We saw, Minnesota make us a whole bunch of money in a row there, Kurtz. I mean, I think even the Islanders won a couple of games they shouldn't have with Patrick Roy there. So might we be looking ahead here? And more importantly, is this team better because Lindy Ruff's not the coach here?
No. I think you'd be hard-pressed to convince me that the reason why the Devils have underperformed this year is because of Lindy Ruff. I may not be the biggest supporter of Ruff, but one, your goaltending's been terrible. It was terrible last year, terrible this year. That's probably not Ruff's fault. I think that's the GM's fault for not upgrading there. Your number one defenseman, Dougie Hamilton's been hurt for a majority of the season. Maybe he'll come back and he make the playoffs, maybe not here. Very few teams can survive when a number one defenseman is gone. It's not like they're loaded with defenders there. The player you acquired, the big trade deadline acquisition last year, Timo Meier, remember all that price they paid for him, has 14 goals this year. All right, that's not the coach's fault, not to mention the injuries to Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, and Timo Meier himself. They've just been a banged-up team this season. Not so sure if this is – and you can blame Ruff for any of this, really any of this year. But they have underperformed, no doubt about that. So he's gone. I don't think it's a big shock, Joe. Once they lost to Anaheim on Friday night, which, by the way, cost me $1 or $2. They lost 5-2. I understand they outshot Anaheim almost 3-1, right? I mean, they really dominated the game, but they couldn't beat Lucas Dostal. But the writing was on the wall. And then yesterday, you get shellacked by the Kings. All right, and you're technically in 11th place in the Eastern Conference here. You're 7 points behind Philadelphia for a playoff spot. You do have a game in hand. You play Florida tomorrow. I don't know, Joe. I understand Florida's playing tonight, and I do think there is something to a team playing back-to-back nights to get the team that has it, that I like the team that has it, fresher legs and all. I don't think I'm going to be more automatic going to the Devils tomorrow night to think they're going to beat Florida.
Yeah, it does kind of look like they have kind of quit on the season here. So we'll see if the former Canucks head coach there, Travis Green, maybe can light a little bit of a fire under him here and see if they can turn this thing around before the end of the season. But I'm with you. I kind of don't believe it here. We do have a hell of a games tonight here. I love the card on the ice here tonight. We'll start with those Florida Panthers, my Florida Panthers taking on the New York Rangers here tonight. A lot of people looking forward to this game here. I mean, the price is certainly short enough. I believe Florida's taking a little bit of money here. I'm seeing minus 125, somewhere in that ballpark. Total is hovering around 6 in this one. I don't know, whose train are you getting in front of, the Panthers or the Rangers in this one here, Kurtz?
I think the Panthers are the best team in the Eastern Conference. All right, I think they're very likely to represent, go back to the Stanley Cup, the second year in a row. So it's hard to bet against them. That being said, I'm getting plus 108 here on FanDuel for the Rangers here. That's a nice price for the Rangers at home. I think I would take the plus money. This is a close game. I just think it's a close game here. I probably lean towards the overs, but as a better bet for me, or my favorite bet in this game. You're going to pay a price, though. It's only 5.5, which is why I like the over, but minus 128. But that's where I lean. My favorite bet in this game is going to be the over. I think we're going to get the 6 goals.
Yeah, I think they're going to have some fun in this one here. And Florida certainly looks, locked in here. They want the top seed apparently, and they want to show everyone just how good they are. They'll have a good opportunity to do that. Great win against Detroit, and now they'll try to back it up at the Garden here against the Rangers. What do we do with the Maple Leafs at home welcoming in the Bruins here tonight? I believe it's Swayman versus Samsonov in this one. Ooh, this could be another interesting game here. Kurtz, how you leaning to it?
Yeah, the Bruins aren't playing very well, right? They got crushed by the Islanders. Kyle Palmieri had a natural hat-trick in the first period on Saturday against the Bruins, which is quite the surprise here. Bruins, last 10, 3-2-5. They're struggling. All right, Toronto, 9-1, last 10. This is pretty easy for me. And you mentioned really an important dynamic here for all three of these teams as far as Florida, Boston, and Toronto. Toronto's probably not going to be able to catch Boston or Florida to lead the division here. But you want to win this division so you don't have to play one of the other two teams you just talked about. Now, you're finishing second or third place. Your Toronto's playing Boston or Florida or vice versa. But any of these play each other. But if you finish first, then you're going to play Philadelphia more than likely. Or maybe if you don't play Philly, you play Tampa Bay, an old and slow Tampa Bay team. I think any of these teams would love that scenario other than playing each other in the first round here. I'm on Toronto tonight. Like I said, they're the hotter team. They're playing better at 9-1 at home. Boston's not playing well. I like the Maple Leafs a bunch here. -134. I'll take the Leafs.
All right, Leafs it is here tonight. How about Philly here taking on the Blues? Bennington in goal there. Another one of these sixes I'm seeing here, Kurtz. Small price here for Philadelphia at home. Are you buying them?
At this point, we sort of have to buy them, don't we? I'm not laying 150 with Philly. I'm just not. If it was a really bad team, I would think about it. St. Louis is one of those teams, and there are several of them in the NHL, by the way. You don't know who's showing up game in and game out, right? I think they do show up tonight. So once again, if I was going to bet the game, I would probably take the plus money with St. Louis, +125. And part of the reason why I would do is take the plus money with St. Louis, take the plus money with the Rangers. I only need to hit one to win money here. I like the over in the game, though. I have 5.5 here. Once again, you're paying a price, but it's 5.5 -130. Urson versus Bennington. He's another guy up, down. Sometimes he plays well. I kind of lean towards the over, but I think this is going to be a tougher over. Where I like the over much more than the other game here. Not so much in this one. I think it's going to get there, but it'll be close. I think I might need my empty net goal here to get this over.
All right. Well, we've got one late night here I'm interested to see. I know a lot of folks believe Calgary might be onto something here tonight at home. Markstrom versus Grubauer. Another one of these right around the 6. You can probably find 6, maybe even 5.5 popping up here. What are we back in Markstrom and Calgary in this one?
Man, the Calgary Flames. This is turning out to be just a strange story, right? They keep trading players away. All right, Lynn told me they traded, 3 months ago here. Tanev was last week, yet they keep winning hockey games. 7-3 in their last 10. We know they're very likely to trade Noah Hannafin, top defenseman that's available on the market right now. Trade deadline is 93 hours away, Friday afternoon. So if they can't him to get pen to paper. If he doesn't sign a contract, they're going to trade him. But they keep winning hockey games. And that seems to be the reason why the GM is not so sure he wants to trade Markstrom. Right? The aforementioned Devils they want Markstrom for a couple of reasons. It gives them a better chance to make the playoffs this season, but Markstrom also comes with term. So they would have a goaltender for next season as well. It does make sense here for the Devils to go after him. But Calgary's thinking they sort of want to have their the cake and eat it too, right? Because they want to not only trade all these guys, but still think they can make the playoffs. Even though they'd be playoff fodder, they would probably get crushed by whoever wins the Winnipeg Jets or the Vancouver Canucks or whatever division leader they would have to play. So probably Seattle's not playing well, but Calgary's undermanned here. I mean, this is a tough one. I guess I'll go with the hot team. I'll keep going with Calgary at -134, but I don't love it here. And so a big part of me wants to, once again, go with the plus money in Seattle and +112. And the over-under here is 5.5. I do think, once again, we'll get goals. So I'll get the over here. That's probably, once again, my favorite play is the over rather than the game itself.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all here. I also, do you see the price in Colorado, Garth? I mean, it's almost to the point where we just have to take Chicago and the plus 350, 60. I mean, you're going to lay $4? Are you serious? Come on.
Well, once again, I think you have two options here. One, there's another game we haven't talked about, right? The opening game of the night, and that's Vegas and Columbus. Jack Eichel returning. All right, and so they're -200. I probably don't want to lay that. Vegas is not playing well right now, but Columbus is Columbus. And Columbus is down to their goalie 7. They have 1 million injuries. A lot of goalie illnesses going on throughout the league, by the way, including for Elvis Merzlikins. So I think Jack Reeves is going to play tonight. I think Vegas takes care of business in this game. Why not parlay Vegas and Colorado? Man, you have -117. You get Vegas and Colorado. We both think Colorado is going to win, right? I mean, I think Vegas got a much better chance of winning than losing. -117 here. Going back to the Colorado game, if you don't want to put Vegas in, you can do one of my favorite plays here. Take Colorado to win and pick your anytime goal scorer. Do you want McKinnon? Do you want Rantanen? Maybe Lakeinen, who's playing well of late here. So I think go one of those two different directions. The goal line minus a goal and a half, even that's minus 156 I'm staring at here. So I'm not going that. I think they probably will win by more than a goal here. They know by 2-3, but I'm not going to take a chance at minus 156. I'm taking Colorado and Vegas parlay here. It's my parlay of the night, minus 117.
I kind of like where you're going. It's just so obnoxious. It really is. I mean, even a blind squirrel gets a nut every now and then, Kurtz. You know what I mean? And make no mistake about it. Blackhawks are absolutely blind. All right, final one here. Vegas and Columbus here. My goodness, is Vegas going through it here? But can we trust Columbus?
Not with the injury to the goaltenders, I don't think so. They have played better, but no Merzlikins tonight. I'm going to have a tough time going with them. This is one where I might take the minus goal and a half of Vegas because you're getting plus 122. Might be worth a shot.
Oh, look at that. Shocker that Kurtz would go with the chalk. I, for one, didn't see that coming. George Kurtz, always a pleasure to see you here, my man. Good luck tonight. GTD returns after this.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in here. Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network. A very happy Monday to you now. The first Monday of March, and madness is upon us here as we get ready for what is up, is down, what's left, what's right. College basketball is oh so much fun. But before we even get to conference tournaments, we got a couple of big games here tonight. One in the ACC, one in the Big 12 here with top 25 teams, and we're going to break them down with our good friend Adam Kaufman in the house, man, ready to roll. Can you believe, Adam, it is March. We're in March already here. Baseball's already happening just around the corner. Playoffs will be here for the NBA and the NHL. I don't understand where time flies half the time. I really don't.
I can't believe it's not still like week 9 of the NFL season. It blows my mind, Joe, that like this is what happens when all these sports, you know, in terms of the news cycles themselves become year round, right? Like it wasn't this way when you and I were growing up. Like the season was the season. Occasionally there'd be some free agency, draft news, that type of thing, the random trade, but there wasn't. Social media has a lot to do with this obviously as well, but there wasn't just the year round, everything is a focus all the time, to where just I don't know about you, I feel like I'm drowning in sports, just drowning in it. Like it makes me long for the early days of COVID when it was just marble races and darts, and that was like, just give me I love sports, I love it, but I need a little bit of a break so that I can really hone in on one thing. And you said it, we are into March. There's no more just like dinking around with all right, does this game mean more? Does it, like, everything now is these teams are on the bubble and they're trying to qualify, and conference tournaments are in front of us. And then obviously Selection Sunday is what, less than 13 days away, and then boom, we're into it. We're into the field of 68, really 64 after you get through the, you know, meaningless play-in games, and then there we go. It's nuts. And then that you're going to blink, you know, just from like all gamblers know, you're going to blink, it's going to be over. It's going to be April, and then you're going to be into the NBA and the NHL playoffs, and you're going to come up for air all of a sudden again in late June, and the baseball season is going to be half over, and then we're going to be talking about football training camp, and round we go. It's nuts.
What we like to refer to in the business as the cycle of life, people. Welcome to our world here.
Did you know spring comes after winter? It's followed by summer and then fall. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, we still have to finish the regular season here for some conferences. The big boys here. The ACC tonight is going to have a very interesting game. There's a part of me that so much wants NC State to win this game and storm the court and have Filipowski just fall down screaming and yelling as, you know, some sorority sister runs into him. And he's like, oh, my God, they're trying to kill me. But it is an interesting game from the standpoint of starting to see a lot of North Carolina State money come in. And, you know, it just depends on how much you trust Duke here. Senior night, North Carolina State. It is kind of rivalry, right? They're not that far apart from one another here. It felt like maybe this was a few too many points. How are you looking at it?
So it's funny, the very first bet, and I'm a volume bettor, so I've got a lot out there, but the very first bet that I placed for today was last night when I was looking at early lines, was Duke minus 5.5. And the reason I jumped on it then, one, I like the matchup, to the superior offense, superior defense. I really think the Blue Devils win this game going away. They are just the better team. I get the, you know, just from a fan standpoint, the desire to, like, you like to see the underdog win and the fans rush the court, or in the case of Detroit Mercy, the fan rush the court. But for Duke here, you know, I just think, one, they're far superior. And the reason I jumped on the line is because I thought it was going to move the other way. There are some 6.5s out there, but I thought by the time tip-off rolled around, we'd be sitting at 7.5. I thought I was, you know, potentially getting some closing line value with the 5.5. And, you know, at certain places, FanDuel, for instance, it's still there. So, you know, by all means, hop on it if you have the conviction with Duke. I think, and I know we're going to talk about the other game featuring Baylor and Texas. I think an interesting way to play this, if you do happen to think that there are a few too many points, that it's going to be a closer game, you don't have maybe that same conviction that Duke could win in a rout right here. The guy you just had on, George Kurtz, no one talks about parlaying teams more than George Kurtz. You could put Duke and Baylor together in a money line parlay. There are some boosts, some college basketball focused boosts available at certain books, depending on what you're on. You can get that for essentially, with a boost, even money. Or even if it's not with a boost, you're putting it at right around, I don't know, minus 130, somewhere in that vicinity. So these two teams that I just happen to think are going to go out and win, maybe convincingly. Spoiler alert, I like them both to cover, and I went over for Baylor's team total as well at, I think it was 76.5 points, probably still sitting that way because I only bet it a little while ago. But if you don't want to even just sweat the points and just go again, they're both going to win. Money line parlay the two together and get it close to even money and cash in that way, hopefully.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, obviously, Duke wants to keep rolling. I mean, they had a couple of wins last week. I get that they would want to win this, but you gotta wonder when push comes to shove, how much is Duke really going to lay it on the line? Because I expect maximum effort from NC State in this game here tonight. The home crowd is going to be packed. It'll be just win and move in. I know there's a lot of people expecting maybe a letdown spot for Baylor here tonight because of the energy and effort it took, obviously. The big bad Kansas came to your building a couple of days ago, and Baylor handles business, right? So I'm not sure that translates into a automatic, Texas is going to be the right side here tonight, just simply because they already beat Baylor, and Baylor wasn't happy about it on a last-second shot. So I've got revenge on Baylor's part. I got Baylor at home, and I just don't put a lot of stock at this point in the season. Like, you beat Kansas. Baylor and Scott Drew expect to beat Kansas. I don't know that there's going to be a letdown here tonight in this one.
No, and again, I'm with you. 7.5 points is where I was looking at it if it still sits there, and I did bet it. If you haven't, would bet it. Yeah. 6, so even better. You save yourself the half point or full point there. 7.5, 6.5, and run with it. I'm, for better or worse, I do get wrapped up in Narrative Street. I've got a condo. It's beautiful. You should check it out there. I'm there all the time.
Yep.
I think with respect to what you brought up, man, the revenge. They want to avenge the 2-point loss they suffered when Texas took care of business. Yes, you could say Texas is obviously more the bubble team than Baylor, and so this win is maybe more important, more of an emphasis, that type of thing. But push comes to shove, especially as you get into March, get closer to tournament time, be it conference tournament or NCAA tournament. It's not like hey, the chalk wins. Otherwise, we'd never see upsets, obviously, and we see them all the time. But I do think right now it's one of those points where you just see the better teams come through when it matters, because it's not like Baylor has nothing to fight for. Sure, it's in better position with respect to the tournament, but the position can always get better, right? You're fighting for seeding. You're fighting for a certain bracket. You're fighting, for your position to hopefully, not that it's within their control, but get the best path to that Final Four. And so every win matters. Every win counts. And I think it's not like you and I need to go out and tell the students at Baylor that.
No, and that's a pretty cool building that they got now, and they've done a pretty good job of winning in it. All right, so we do have 6 games in the NBA here tonight, Adam, and of course I'll start with the last one because that's where a lot of eyeballs are going to be, because it involves LeBron, Anthony Davis, and they did an amazing job. I mean, of LeBron, the celebration, 40,000 points. That was fantastic. The problem is you actually have to play 4 quarters and win the game. Otherwise, nobody really cares, LeBron. But they do have a rest advantage. You want to talk about narratives. OKC coming off a battle last night against Phoenix that they had to put a whole lot of effort to come back and win that one late. So now they got to go. I get a rested Lakers squad going up against the upstart OKC. They were a favorite last night. I think they're the dog now of 1.5. The Lakers are. Who wins this game?
So you bring up last night for OKC, and just so freaking annoying. I don't know how closely you watched that game, but it just happened to be I don't know why. Sometimes I just fall in love with a certain play, and it can go well, it can go poorly. You know, we're all subject to it. But that OKC at the time, it was minus. I'm trying to remember what they were going in pregame. It was -4.5, I think. OKC,
4.5. Yep.
yeah, yeah. OKC that was the biggest bet I've made all season in the NBA, like by far. I was convinced with no Booker and the question marks on the Phoenix side in terms of the injuries, the way OKC is played, I loved the Thunder in that spot. And, you know, of course, out of the gate, fall behind, you know, whatever it was, like 15-4 or something, and I'm sweating and I'm just not feeling well. And then they turn the corner and OKC, you know, rallies back and they're up by 20 in the third quarter. I go, great. You know, perfect. I'm gonna flip it on. I'm gonna watch the new episode of Curb, and then I'm gonna bounce back to this thing. And I come back, and all of a sudden, like you said, they're down. I'm going, what the hell happened? They had to exert way too much energy, which is, you know, concerning going into this game tonight against the Lakers, where obviously there's travel involved. The Lakers are, you know, a bit fresher anyway, as fresh as, you know, the aging LeBron and even Anthony Davis can be. You know, we've seen the line bounce around. The Lakers at one point earlier in the day were 1-point favorites. And like you said, the Thunder now by 1.5. And so, you know, I like the Lakers here in this game tonight. I do. I mean, I don't ever like them, and it's kind of win-win for me, I guess, because if the Lakers do lose, I happen to have a ticket on the Lakers win total under for this year, so every loss helps. But you know, if I'm betting this game, you know, one, I'd probably look toward props or something like that. But if I were going to bet a side, I think ultimately I would look at LA. It's not much like Phoenix last night playing whatever it was. It's third and 4 days and having all those injuries. It's not a good spot for the Thunder tonight. As young and as athletic and as great as SGA and all of that fits the Thunder, I just don't think it's a great spot.
No, I don't think it is either. And I think coming off a embarrassing performance there, Anthony Davis against the Nuggets, he's a guy that I'm going to concentrate on. He's got you know, Chet Holmgren coming off of, again, you got more rest. You're the bigger guy. The Lakers have beaten him twice already this year. So it's not a great matchup anyway for OKC here with the bigger and more experienced Lakers team. But if Anthony Davis don't show up tonight, Lakers are in trouble. So I think that's all correlated here tonight in that one. Talk about spots. The Clippers just turned hot tub time machine last night and won a game with 89 points, I think. So it was like 1995 basketball all over again against Minnesota. But now they got, again, another situation. Terrible spot for the Clippers. Rested spot here, playing well. The only problem is Giannis seems to still be questionable, but I don't know that even matters because you still have Lillard here in this one. How are you looking at this one tonight?
Well, so we do have news. Giannis has been ruled out. He's not going to play. And so there's your, you know, you mentioned hot tub time machine. There's your Great White Buffalo situation. It's all about Damian Lillard here in this contest. It's going to have to be. The Bucks at one point in time, they were 4.5-point favorites, which is when I, the idiot, bet them. They are only 1-point favorites at home tonight against the Clippers with Giannis ruled out of this thing. So go Milwaukee for the sake of my slips, but it's probably a better spot for the Clips.
Adam Kaufman, well done, my man. Appreciate it. GTD returns next here on the Grid.
There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in as we look to close out this first hour of Game Time Decisions. Much more to get to. In fact, wanted to share a clip earlier today from Coast to Coast with Scotty Farrell and our good friend there, Gabe Morency. With the NFL Combine over now, pro days are coming up. And you know Gabe's a big Michigan man. What about J.J. McCarthy? I mean, nobody is talking about him. Every other quarterback is getting love. Well, this is what Gabe thinks will ultimately be the final destination for J.J. McCarthy.
Big fan of his, Scott. I think, and I guarantee, listen, the NFL team is going to fall in love with this kid. I got him going 8 right now to the Falcons. No one's really talking about that. Justin Fields is not going to Atlanta, guys. Just because the media places him there, just because he's from Georgia, they don't want him. The Falcons, you and I talked about it. You know this Falcon organization well. They want their own guy. They've got young guys. They're not bringing in Cousins and stuff. They're drafting a quarterback. They want their guy. They're going to start with everybody together as a core unit. And I honestly believe that J.J. McCarthy, I got it at 10-1, Scott. It's plus 600 right now. It's already come down. But I think J.J. McCarthy to Atlanta is legit.
Well, they need somebody. That is for sure here. And I agree with Gabe that they want a homegrown talent. They are not going to go fishing in the used car lot here for somebody else as a bridge quarterback. They're going to get somebody, and they're going to have some options, I think, because I am not sold that this draft goes according to plan like everyone assumes it's going to be. I think there's going to be a couple of wrinkles coming up in this year's draft, but there is no doubt there are a ton of quarterbacks available in this draft. It is a very quarterback-heavy draft, which means, there are going to be some teams that will overpay. They'll go over the top to try and go up and get their guy. I'm with Gabe. I don't know that Atlanta's going to have to go very far if J.J. McCarthy is their guy. So we'll have more on the Combine coming up. Another hour of Game Time Decisions is next here on the Grid. All right, welcome back. Another hour of Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. Want to thank you so much for hanging with us here tonight as we get ready in this 7 o'clock Eastern time hour opening tip-off in the big Duke versus North Carolina State game. That is just a couple of minutes out with the Duke Blue Devils trying to continue their winning ways here. I'm not necessarily sold that Duke is the right side here, although we have seen this hovering around 7 today. It opened up at around 5.5. It made it as high as 7, and now we're starting to see some buyback here on this as the NC State late money seems to be coming in. And, I mean, listen, let's face it. I thought this game, the first thing when I saw this game this morning, I was all about the over. NC State is not going to be able to slow tempo. They are going to need to keep pace with Duke if they're going to have any chance at getting a win here. So I don't think it benefits them to try to slow anything down. I do think that Duke, though, and keep in mind here, they've got UNC next. That's their next opponent, right? So, and of course, UNC's already beaten Duke. It is their arch nemesis. And I'll tell you this, since 2012, Duke is 11-16 against the number in the game prior to playing UNC. So we already know North Carolina State, they don't really have that signature win on this season yet. And boy, oh boy, this would go a long way to making their season here if they can go ahead and maybe even do themselves a little bit of favor as they head into the ACC tournament. As we welcome in our radio audience here tonight, Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. I want to thank you so much for hanging with us here as we get ready for Duke NC State to tip things off here in college hoops. 22 games on the slate tonight. Madness is almost upon us here. But we do have a couple of final regular season games coming up with some of the bigger conferences. We do have some of the mid-major tournaments, conference tournaments getting ready to take center stage tonight, including the Atlantic Sun, the A-Sun. That is getting ready to go. Don't forget Sun Belt also getting ready to kick off here tomorrow. So a lot of college basketball ahead of Selection Sunday in just a couple of weeks, and then madness begins. Jacksonville also taking on Kennesaw State tonight. That's one of those conference games. And then Florida Gulf Coast is another team that folks are going to be keeping an eye on as they take on Queens University. Most people have never even heard of Queens University or have any clue as to what they are doing playing basketball tonight. But I will say this, if you like points, that's a game you may want to tune into here tonight. I do have the over in that one. These two teams just played 2 weeks ago, and the total, when it was all said and done, 171 points. The total is 154 tonight in that matchup between Florida Gulf Coast and Queens University. I am on the over in that one. We do also have some breaking news in the NBA here in a big game tonight. We have just learned that Giannis is not going here tonight for the Milwaukee Bucks at home. He has been ruled out. He's apparently dealing with some Achilles soreness. I don't even know what the hell that is. Either your calf hurts or it doesn't hurt. Not sure what's going on with the whole Achilles soreness, but that's what they are labeling it as. And that, of course, has made the market go completely bonkers. We are talking about 24 hours ago when this line opened up overnight. It was Milwaukee Bucks 5.5 with the idea that Giannis was playing. When this news just broke a couple of minutes ago, this line has now flipped to the Clippers -2.5. I repeat now, that is almost a 7-point swing here for Giannis not playing. It is the biggest overreaction ever, and we've seen it time and time again in the NBA where opportunities like this present themselves, where last minute a star player is ruled out and the market goes overboard. It doesn't change the fact that the Clippers are in a terrible spot. Third game in 4 nights, 5 in their last 7. They have been traveling. They've been dealing with some injuries, and they just came out of a battle last night on the road against the Minnesota Timberwolves, in which they had to scratch and claw their way, along with plenty of minutes. Kawhi Leonard, 38 minutes last night. Paul George, Harden, over 32 minutes in that game yesterday against Minnesota. Then they had to travel to Milwaukee now to take on the Bucks, who have been patiently waiting their arrival. Dame Lillard, a go. Brooks Lopez, a go. All the other pieces here for Allen is a go for the Milwaukee Bucks. To move 7 points because Giannis is not playing is absolutely absurd. My money is going on the Milwaukee Bucks here tonight. The total has also come crashing down. This opened up at 229.5. We are looking at 223. And if Dame Lillard has anything to say about this game here tonight, there is a good chance that total goes up and over as well. Because remember, this is certainly not the Minnesota Timberwolves defense they're going to be facing here tonight. And the second of a back-to-back, they've played a ton of basketball as of late. I wouldn't be shocked if we get a little less defense from the Clippers here as well. But to me, no reason why Milwaukee should be an underdog in this spot. So I will take the points now and get that going in that one. We are still also waiting for Sacramento to decide whether or not De'Aaron Fox is going to be a go tonight. There is some concern there. He's still listed as questionable. So is Alex Caruso against for the Chicago Bulls in a matchup on the road in which the market seems to think that maybe De'Aaron Fox won't go. This opened up at 7. We're starting to see 6.5 and 6s popping in here, which leads me to believe that maybe the market thinks that De'Aaron Fox may be sitting this another game out here for Sacramento. And quite honestly, Sacramento is not a team I can trust without De'Aaron Fox at all, especially this year. It has not been great since the All-Star break. They have been getting absolutely cooked by bad offenses. While the Bulls aren't great offensively, they are certainly more than capable of dropping a whole lot of points here on this Sacramento Kings team. And if De'Aaron Fox isn't going, I'm grabbing the 6.5 points while I can get it with the Chicago Bulls here tonight. We'll have more on this slate of games. We'll have plenty more about the college hoop slate, NHL. We've got you covered here. Game Time Decisions continues next on the Grid.
There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort
night.
of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network. We've got a couple of updates here on some games underway in college hoops. Boy, it didn't take long. North Carolina State out to a 9-2 run here with about 5 minutes into the game right now. 9-2, NC State over Duke. They went to a TV timeout. Duke is now around a pick'em price. So all you had to do was wait 5 minutes to get Duke at a better number right now if you like them to be able to come back in this one. Also, some NHL action underway, and it looks like no score pretty much across the board here with Bruins, Maple Leafs, nothing there, and we've got Panthers, Rangers, no score, Blues, Flyers, as well as the Knights and the Blue Jackets. And we talked some NHL earlier with our good friend George Kurtz, and he is back again this hour as no score across the board here, Kurtz. So if you like some unders, I guess that may be some good news here, but it does feel like goals will be coming if for no other reason. The Maple Leafs and the Bruins should be able to tack on a few in this one, no?
There isn't like the over total so much tonight. You got a lot of 5.5s. All right, you were paying for it. Like I said, minus 30, minus 128. We're in a couple of the games here, but I'll take the over 5.5. I think we will get some goals in tonight's game. Plus, sort of feeling good last night. I think it was the Winnipeg Buffalo game. I had the over in that game. It was 2-1 with about 8 minutes left in the third period. I already counted that as a loss. I wasn't paying attention anymore. All of a sudden, 4 goals in the last 8 minutes of the game. Right, to get me my over 2 empty net goals. We always remember when we don't get the empty nets to help us. Now, hey, it happens. I guess I'll have to remember every now and then it does work out in our favor.
Yes, every now and then. They are off a couple of minutes into each of those games on the ice right now. We'll keep you posted if any goals happen here. But let's talk here a little NFL news here, Kurtz. Combine is over with now. Pro days are coming up. The draft will be here before we know it. And we also learned a few short hours ago that the Denver Broncos have decided that they are done with Russell Wilson. And in order to be done with Russell Wilson, Kurtz, the price of that is hovering around $85 million. We have never, ever, ever seen this in the history of the game, Kurtz, where a team is so willing to eat $85 million just so he won't be around the team, just so he will be as far away from them as humanly possible. I don't think that says nearly a lot about where he's at as far as his play, but I think it has everything to do with just how far they want him away from this organization, that they're willing to eat $85 million in dead cap money.
It is amazing when you think about it. Not to mention, Joe, all the draft capital they gave to Seattle to get him.
Oh,
These are 4 or 5 picks. I mean, this has got to be one of the worst trades in history. I mean, I'm not going to tell you it's the Herschel Walker deal that propelled the Cowboys in the '90s, but it's up there. It's certainly up there as one of the worst trades in NFL history. There, we heard from the Raiders today. Well, no one made us an offer for him. Well, of course, no one's taking on that contract. No one was going to make an offer for him, so that's not a shock there. Where he ends up should be interesting. I think it'll be. I have a hard time seeing him sign with anybody until after the draft. A team that doesn't end up with a quarterback. Yeah, it doesn't draft one of those big young quarterbacks here. Maybe the Raiders might make some sense if they don't get somebody here, which would be kind of funny, right? That he goes from stays in the same division there. But I do also wonder this: will he be left without a chair when the music stops? And not have a starting job anywhere? Or is he going to be a starter for a team that does draft? If someone signs him early because he'll be cheap, does he sign with the team just for giggles here? Let's just say Washington. It won't be Washington. Let's just say it's Washington. But does he sign with a team like that drafts a top quarterback, which means he might be a starter for a month, the first 4 weeks of the season before he loses his job again.
Yep. When you look at some of the teams that could use, and let's face it, we love our Pittsburgh Steeler fan base, but man, he's got to go to Pittsburgh just for the sheer fun of watching Scotty Farrell scream and yell for about 3 weeks straight here. That they actually have him as a quarterback would be fantastic. But listen, I don't think Atlanta wants a retread. I don't think Washington wants a retread. I think anybody that is within reason in the top 10 is probably going to prefer. We heard from Gabe earlier about his thoughts with even J.J. McCarthy and about Atlanta saying, hey, Atlanta's hovering around number 9? They're going to get their own guy. They don't want to retread. A lot of these teams are looking for a homegrown talent. It could be odd man out, Kurtz, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, that Russell Wilson, by the time we get to camp, I mean, are you 100% convinced he's going to be on a team by the time camp starts?
Yeah. Well, not 100%. No, not 100. But I think someone's going to sign him. Yes, but Columbus, by the way, is your first goal of the night. By the way, of course they are.
Yeah.
It's just. Boom. I think someone team will sign. There are a lot of teams that need quarterbacks that aren't going to be able to draft one. I mean, you said Pittsburgh makes a lot of sense, by the way. Although, and I'm the first person to tell you, everyone's lying nowadays. GMs are lying, coaches are lying, everyone's lying because they don't want to give away their plans here. But if you believe Pittsburgh, they're telling you, no, we believe in Kenny Pickett. Hell, some inside of the organization believe in Mason Rudolph. Now, I don't know what your definition of belief is, but neither one of them is going to lead you to where you want to go. I don't know if Russell Wilson is either, but you can get him cheap, a veteran there. Maybe you take a shot at him. I do think the Raiders might make some sense here. The only thing we have to realize that he's not even the best free agent quarterback out there. That's Kirk Cousins.
Nope.
Right? Kirk Cousins is your number one guy there. When he becomes a free agent, I think it'll be March 12th. So there's a lot going on here. I do think Russell Wilson's personality rubs teammates. Remember, even when he was really good with Seattle, Richard Sherman wasn't afraid to pop up about Russell Wilson a time or two there. So I think he rubs teammates, rubs coaches the wrong way here. But as what was the initial thing you brought up? Denver doesn't care. Just get as far away from us as possible. We'll eat the $85 million.
Yep, and I don't think they'll have a problem doing that at all here. Also, we learned today, and I'm glad about this, Mike Evans staying in Tampa, signs a 2-year deal there that will, without a doubt, keep him in all likelihood through the end of his career there in Tampa. I kind of like the moves that Tampa's made. They're going to lock down, Baker Mayfield, for better or for worse. The guy certainly seems to have found a home there. And I think Evans, with what this guy has done for the Bucs and the kind of year that he had this year with a less than quarterback in our eyes, certainly deserves it. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for the Bucs. And in such a bad division, it's not a bad move here, Kurtz.
No, I'm that guy also. I like when players who have been with one team when they stay with that team. So I'm happy Evans stays with the Bucs.
I'm with you. Yep.
Right. It's where we associate him one. That's great. I'm a little surprised he stayed, by the way, because the quarterback situation is still a little murky, and he probably could have gotten more on the open market. Then again, he got a ton of money. So maybe he's not worried about that. But this makes me wonder, does he know something that Mayfield's definitely coming back? Because do you think he'd want to come back if Kyle Trask was going to be the starting quarterback? You know, or they're going to go once again, go find somebody. They're not in a position to really draft anybody. So I do think that, once again, he must know that Mayfield is coming back. And he had a great year with Baker Mayfield. So I guess he feels comfortable with them going in that direction again.
I agree 100% here. I think that in that division this year, I think once they solidify that, there's a good chance we're going to have to be looking at some of those numbers there, Kurtz, for Tampa maybe to make a run, because every other team in that division is pure trash here, Kurtz. Did we get any more goals in the NHL here over the last couple of minutes, or was that the only goal that we're looking at here, 1-0 Blue Jackets?
No, just the 1-0 Jackets here. Not much chance for Aiden Hill on that goal. It was a shot that got deflected right to the wing on Hill's right. He puts it in the open net there. So it is what it is. But out of all the games I want goals in, that's not the one. All right, the others are be much more happy with goals. Not the Vegas Columbus game. Go Vegas. Go Golden Knights.
Give me Blackhawks money line. Kurtz, appreciate it. Cash those tickets. Game Time Decisions returns next here on the grid.
There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort
Night.
of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in here. Game Time Decisions on the SportsGrid Network as we are off and running here. College hoops underway with Duke trailing NC State. At least they made it a little bit closer here. 12-11 right now with about 11 minutes to go as NC State boat raced them quickly in that game. Got out to a 9-2 run, but Duke has recovered here. You got Jacksonville in the A-Sun tournament, 15-10 over Kennesaw State. And Queens University, and yes, Queens University, Florida Gulf Coast, 22-19 in that one. So the over is looking pretty decent there. And then, of course, we got NBA action coming up in just about 5 or 6 minutes here. It's not really NBA. It's the Nets in Memphis. You tell me what that is, Mark Sino, because I don't. Do we consider that NBA these days anymore? Because both those teams are a little. At least Memphis has an excuse because obviously the entire roster is on the injured list here. But I don't know what we're going to get from Brooklyn. But I know a lot of people that like Memphis here tonight. Are you leaning one way or the other in this one?
I'm a Memphis guy tonight. I played him +9.
All right, there you go.
You know me, and I love these ugly NBA plays. But, some of this is situational, but more of this is just about kind of comparative line analysis here. I think the number's too high. Look, the Nets have only laid 9 or more points at home this year 4 times this season. Now, it was against the Pistons, the Trailblazers, Hornets, and the Wizards. And the Grizzlies are of that ilk, but the Nets only went 2-2 straight up and against the spread in those games. So it's not like they blew those teams out. And I know the Grizzlies are in the same category, but I think what stands out even more to me, Joe, here is the timing of this game, as Brooklyn has not laid more than 7 to anyone since January 7th. In fact, they've only been a favorite by more than 3 points 3 times in 2024. So this current Nets team, not the one that played in October, November, December, this current Nets team shouldn't be favored by this much over anybody. And this is a Memphis team right now that's lost back-to-back games to the Portland Trailblazers. The last time they played the Nets 1 week ago, they lost by 25, and crazy me kind of makes me like the Memphis Grizzlies even more, given what has just transpired. This is just too many points for me. That's what it boils down to here. I mean, this is a young Nets team. It's full of young players who want to prove themselves a little bit, prove that they belong here. This is still a top 10 defensive efficiency team, the Grizzlies are. We forget that they might not score, but at least they play defense. And if you want to give me a team that's top 10 in defensive efficiency, getting 9 points feels pretty opportune to take it here. Now, every opportunity in the world that the Grizzlies could absolutely get blown out in this one, I think it's fair to say that. And Zeno, you're crazy. They're going to get blown out. You may be right, but I'm going to roll the dice here with the Memphis Grizzlies tonight.
Yeah, I mean, think about it, right? 206.5 is a total. We don't often see totals that low here. And you want to give me double digits? Yeah, I'm good. I'll take Memphis in this spot. What I will not do, though, is tolerate the disgustingness here in this Milwaukee Bucks Clipper line, where last night, then it was 5.5 Milwaukee. They announced that Giannis is out tonight, which we kind of had a feeling he wasn't going to be playing. And the line is moved now to Milwaukee +3. We're talking about a 7-point line move for one guy. And we see it all the time in the NBA. This proves to be disastrous if you think there's that much value in one player on a single game. It's still a terrible spot for the Clippers, but a 7-point line move is just, it's over the top for me, man.
No, totally agree. And we also see these spots in the NBA where the main starter is out and all the other guys seem to step up, right? Some of the parts kind of philosophy there that everybody else plays a little bit better and chips in. But the thing you got to remember about the Clippers, and I've tried to tell this to people repeatedly over and over about them, I'm not sure they care at this point about the regular season. And they certainly don't care about winning games by margin. Now, if it happens, it happens. They're not going to purposely let a team hang around. But they don't go out there in a game going, guys, let's just bury these guys. Let's jump on them from the start. They go out there and they play basketball. And how the chips fall is how they fall, because they understand as much as anybody else does that really only what matters to them is what happens in late April, May, and into early June, and if they're still playing then. So at the end of the day, this isn't a team here that I like in a lot of spots. Now, do certain NBA players want to get up for big games against big teams? Sure. But the minute Giannis stopped playing in this game, it almost feels like the Clippers are going to let their foot off the gas pedal a little bit here and go, I'm not really going to give all the effort in this one because I don't really have to. We're going to beat this team by a couple of buckets and we'll be fine. I mean, granted, again, they're only laying 2.5 now, so it's a very, very short number. But all in total, I mean, it's like Clippers are a hard team to play on. I've seen them over the past couple of weeks. Ever since they got to the top of the Western Conference, Joe, where we started to realize and everybody started to bet on the Clippers to go, hey, they're going to win the West. Hey, they're going to the NBA Finals. All of a sudden, they decided to show you that, we kind of really don't care about the regular season anymore. We'll talk to you guys in the playoffs.
Yeah. This is the back-to-back game for the Clippers. I think it's the 3rd and 4, 5 and 7. I mean, it's a lot going on. And to your point about a team that understands that just get me to the playoffs. I'll worry about just get me to the playoffs.
Give me a first round home playoff, advantage, and that's it.
Exactly. And I am good to go. And that's exactly what we've got here. The late game has a lot of eyes, too, here with OKC and the Lakers. Another not great spot for OKC. Lakers let one go there against Denver a couple nights ago, but they're home. They obviously want to wipe that from their memory. No better way than to handle business at home against OKC here tonight. This line, too, flipped from the open last night.
Yes. Well, this line flipped because this is a case of WTF, and it's not what the bleep. It's wrong team favored. There is not this when earlier in the week or last week rather, when the LA Lakers were a pick'em against the Denver Nuggets, I literally said that is the greatest gift I have received that's not at Christmas ever, because there's not a world where the Lakers are in the same conversation as the Nuggets, and there's not a world where the Lakers are in the same conversation as the Oklahoma City Thunder. And, Oklahoma City's on a back-to-back. Oh, Joe, that's no big deal because OKC's 7-3 against the spread on back-to-backs this season. 10-4 ATS as an underdog. 16-7 on the road this year against the number. This is not a good Lakers team. I don't know why we keep pricing them like they are, because it's the Lakers and it's LeBron and the public loves to back them in these spots at home. You guys are suckers. I don't know what to tell you. OKC is one of 3 teams, Joe, in the NBA that's top 10 in offensive efficiency and defensive efficiency. This is a markedly better team than the Los Angeles Lakers with a guy in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander who's not only in the MVP conversation, but also a guy that I think actually looks at his player prop total every night and goes, okay, I'm going to make sure I go over that. Right? I actively think he does that. I think in the back of his head, he knows, it's 31.5 tonight. Well, I'm getting 32. So, and I love him for that, by the way. I absolutely love it. If he's really doing that, I have no carnal knowledge, folks. Don't accuse him of anything. But it's just that kind of mentality. This OKC team attacks everyone, and they play everybody like it is the NBA playoffs. The wrong team is favored here. I got OKC this morning when they were still a dog, and I just took them on the money line because I was actually getting a better price. So, I don't think the Lakers are winning this game. I don't care about the back-to-back. Oklahoma City is a better team. They're a younger team. They have fresher legs. Yes, the Lakers are going to hang around like they did against the Nuggets for 2 or 3 quarters. And then what's going to happen down the stretch is Oklahoma City is going to pull away because they're a better team, and it's a better teams do. They pull away late. So, wrong team favorite here. I like OKC.
OKC, it is here for Zin tonight. I'll switch it over to as Duke and NC State are battling now, but we do have a game coming up in a couple hours in the Big 12 with the Baylor Bears at home taking on Texas. Now, Texas beat them earlier in the year, so we got a little revenge factor, but I don't know that I buy the narrative that Baylor is somehow, because they beat Kansas, like, letdown spot. Like, Baylor expects to beat Kansas. They expect to beat anybody that shows up in Waco. So I'm not sure it's as big a letdown spot as everyone wants it to be here with Texas. Plus, I don't trust them. Do you trust them, even with points?
I mean, look, I'm with you on it's not really a big letdown spot. I mean, look, it's a big emotional game. It always has been. It always will be, right? I mean, that's just the reality of life in the Big 12 here. Longhorns at 12. And the other thing about this game I like before I start to get into numbers, I should say, is the total to me jumped out because I felt like it was really low. Longhorns 12-4 to the over in conference play. Baylor's had 5 of the last 7 go over at home. This feels like, we're a couple of points short of 150 here. Like, what's the reason both of these teams aren't getting to 72? I'm not really 100% sure, but Bears 14-2 straight up at home, 10-5 against the number. Texas has failed to win or cover all 4 road games this year as an underdog of 6 or more, which is really kind of unique. I mean, Texas is not a bad team. I still kind of lean Texas at points here because I feel like it's a lot. And if this game is going to be high scoring, I think it favors Texas more than it does Baylor, despite the fact that Baylor has the better offense. But, I think that when it comes to the back and forth nature of this, Texas only covers this number because they are scoring at the same rate as Baylor. If they're not shooting and scoring in this game because Baylor's offense is so good, they're going to get left in the dust. So I kind of think the over favors Texas here, and the under is more in Baylor. Texas isn't a great defensive team. They're not terrible, but this isn't a great defensive team by any stretch of the imagination. Baylor's just a much better shooting team, and they're going to have the advantage there. But I like Texas's advantage inside on the glass. It feels just like a lot of points here for a Big 12 game. When it was Kansas, 4.5, you're like, that sounds about right. Texas, 7.5, Joe, we're kind of getting out of that range here where I would feel comfortable laying with Baylor. Maybe a first half play with Baylor, but Texas in the points for a full game.
I'm seeing 8s popping up here now. So here comes the Baylor money coming in here. But I was with you, too. I thought maybe this was a tick too low in the total here, because if it does get into a bit of a track meet here and the guards start hitting from outside, this thing's going to go flying over that total there. All right, Mark Zinno, there you go. Enjoy your pool. And we will certainly talk to you again tomorrow. Game Time Decisions returns next year on the grid.
There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in here. Game Time Decisions is the name of the show here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. We appreciate you hanging with us here as we're getting ready for a little in-game live primetime coming up at the top of the hour. Dave Sherapan in the house joining us here. He'll take over at the top of this hour here. Dave, we got a lot going on here tonight. Some great NHL games. We just had Kurtz on.
Hello. We just had Kurtz on. We don't need Joe on. All right. That was great. Joe froze, so I'm here. We do have a lot of NHL to talk about today. I don't know what Kurtz said because I wasn't here, but that's okay because goals are the theme.
Yes.
Vegas hasn't scored the first goal in weeks. They're down to Columbus 2-1. That didn't
Just
take
scored
long.
again. It's 2-2.
Yeah.
What the?
Okay. Can't keep up with that. That was going like this. But some great hockey games tonight, Raineri. You're right. Between Boston and the Maple Leafs, a very good. This might be a playoff matchup that I think Leafs fans don't want to see, and I'm going to be on with Cam next, and we're going to talk about this. Boston has their number. They're already up 2-0. Toronto closed the small favorite. So there's just under 3 minutes to go in that one. Joe, the game of the night, though, I mean, you're down in Miami, and you know what the game of the night is in hockey. This is big. This is Panthers road favorites at the Rangers.
I know.
What's going on?
What's going on is 1-0 in that one too. There, as the Rangers were able to get a quick goal in here, but the total's still 5.5 in this one, and I still think we might get a few more goals before it's all said and done in there. This could be a potential playoff, little Eastern championship here between these two teams. I tell you what, if you wanted to wait and you want the Panthers at plus money, now's the time to jump in at plus 170 here, but. There is no doubt I'm kind of with you. Everyone we've talked to all week long just keeps going back to maybe the Panthers. They're the most well-rounded and complete team that we've got in the NHL, at least on that side of things here. And because I got to tell you right now, at this point, it ain't your Golden Knights. No. That team is a disaster right now here, Dave. Absolute disaster.
So Mark Stone's out indefinitely. And I was away for the weekend when that happened, and I found that out today, and I'm like, well, they did this last year. He got hurt right before the deadline and kind of sat out March to be able to play every game in the playoffs that he did, and it helped. But they were in a much better position. They had the playoff spot solidified, and they were playing with opportunities to get home ice. This season is going nothing like that. They literally have trailed. I mean, you want to bet first goal, just bet the other team, whoever they're playing, to score the first goal. I think it's 7 in a row, something like that. They've given up the first goal. And they keep giving up goals. They've become an over team on the regular. So I don't know if we don't have to really worry about, at least right now, it's not even close to making a rematch reservation for your team in Miami and my team in Vegas, because I didn't get the opportunity to go to a game. I went to a few watch parties here in town. Everybody was caught up in it, but this fatigue is real, Joe. Like this, they're not there. They're not. I don't even know if they're in the top 5 in the Western Conference right now. Like as far as overall team, odds would tell you that they are, but I'm not seeing it. I would be going out and trying to get as much money on the Knights as I could. But the Panthers are real. This is no joke. I was surprised, though, to see them favored on the road with the game closed, minus 125. Surprised by that.
It kind of felt like a pick 'em game one way or the other. Just pick whoever it is you think is going to win. By the way, the Flyers just scored. They're on the board 1-0 over the Blues. So goals, and more goals are on their way here. And I was just talking to Mark Zinno about the classic case of the NBA market overreaction to a player being ruled out. Giannis gets ruled out, and from 5.5 last night to +3 right now is the most absurd thing with a team that has Damian Lillard I think I've ever seen. And you got the Clippers on a back-to-back. And NBA is the one league, Dave, where we know this. The overreaction is over the top with one star player missing and acting as if Damian Lillard's not still on this team, or acting as if the Clippers aren't on a back-to-back after having an all-out war against Minnesota yesterday afternoon. It feels like now you're forcing me. I have to take the 3 points.
Yeah. It's so funny because earlier today, this was 5 and 4.5 the other way. When we did Bostonian versus the book today, somebody in our chat actually alerted us that Giannis was a game time decision. So I saw through the total. The total dropped from an overnight
big time
7 points. And I said, he's not playing. He said, how do you know? I said, I'll bet you right now that Giannis is ruled out and doesn't play. Now, that doesn't mean the Bucks don't win. If you've paid attention, the books don't close. They open up for more bets when there's a situation like this. So they move numbers and take bets all the way down. Now, people are betting this like it's the Clippers' free money. What? Like, what just happened? I had to go pick up the kid from school and do all this other stuff. And the Clippers are favored by 3 at some joints right now.
Crazy.
Joe, come on. The Bucks have been a dead under team. I don't know what Doc figured out, but he figured out how to get him to play defense. Clippers on the road, a favorite on a back-to-back. Okay. I mean, that's a testament to how good Giannis is and what the value of him is in the line and in perception by people. But I mean, look, there's some
That's
NBA
overreaction.
That's obviously the marquee game, Joe. You can't find anything in Portland, Minnesota, can you? Can you find anything in Washington, Utah? How about Chicago, Sacramento?
Who bet Washington? That was 7. It's now 5. Who's betting Washington? Who's now what? 0-13? The straight thing. Dave, that was 7.5 this morning. It's now 5.5. Somebody, and listen, Utah's got everybody out. Marketing's out. Kessler's out. They're very shorthanded. But who in their right mind is betting Washington to move the line almost 2 points? I mean,
maybe one or two people, Joe. It ain't that many, but it's just the right people. That's all.
It's the right people.
Exactly. It's not how many, it's who. And that tells me, listen, and again, sometimes you just look at a number and you go, that's got to be too high. Sometimes it gets there, sometimes it doesn't. Utah being favored by 7 is a lot. That's trying to get that Washington money. Yikes. I take the Wizards there +7. I might take them +5.5. It's something maybe we'll keep an eye on in game. The total in that one's interesting. That's got to be an over. That's got to be a track meet over. They may score 300 points in that game. No? That feels like a way over. That's an over.
I don't know what's worse, though. Am I that I'm taking 5 points with the Wizards, or that I have to lay 15 with Minnesota, who couldn't even score 90 points yesterday and now is also on the second of a back-to-back, whose star player can't figure out the difference between what a 2-point shot is down 3 versus a 3-point shot when down 3 and 3 seconds to go here. And granted, the Blazers are a G League team, but I can't be running and playing and laying 15 with Minnesota, Dave, in any way, shape, or form. That's how sad it is.
That's usually a stop sign. That's one of those ones that stops people in their tracks, and they go, you know what? I'm going to put a line through that. I'm going to pass on that one. Chicago, Sacramento, another game where you see the number and you go, all right, why is Chicago only a 6-point dog or 6.5, 7-point dog? That one leaves me wondering all kinds of questions, and I don't really have answers. The game of the night.
Well, De'Aaron Fox is the big question. Is he going to go or is he not going to go? That's the big question that we're all waiting to hear. And he's still listed as questionable, so I can't lay 7 if De'Aaron Fox is not playing, can you? I mean,
no.
They're a different team without him.
Completely different. No. And that's sometimes the pregame NBA versus the in-game NBA. It's not
Amen.
even close. I mean, you have to find
Yep.
opportunities in game. Once you have the answers to the answer key, I mean, you have the answers to
Mhm.
the quiz, you know who's playing, then at least you can make a real decision.
I
What about
noticed the hat, Dave.
OKC
Yeah, I
and
was
the
going to
Lakers?
say I noticed the hat. What does that mean? Are you laying the 1.5 with OKC?
I don't know. I'd have to take Sam Yarnell's money, K
Oh,
Dub's money, and your money
oh,
and
oh no.
combine it and still couldn't bet the Lakers. No way. I can't do it, Joe. There's no way. Because, listen, I don't know who needs to hear it. They're not making the playoffs. Sorry, K Dub. It was great the other night that
Oof.
LeBron could, get his points and all that other stuff. He's had an unbelievable career. But watched OKC last night against Phoenix, and that's another one. Again, I don't know who needs to
Right.
hear it, but Phoenix is not going to make noise in the playoffs. It's been fun. I'd move the odds down to the 4th or 5th choice in the Western Conference, hoping I still get a bet on them. I don't think they're winning either. I really like OKC. I really like OKC. I saw it last night. Lakers 1.5-2 this afternoon, flipped. OKC 1.5-2. I like OKC, Joe. How about you?
I can't bet OKC in this spot here because I don't. How they came back and won that game last night is mind numbing. I mean, it was 97-90. Phoenix was on top with less than 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and they just absolutely battled back and left it all out on the court. Then had to hop on a plane. And now got to come to LA where LeBron and everyone is pretty ticked off. I don't ever bet the Lakers. I hate betting the Lakers against better teams. They're not even remotely close to being power rated anywhere near what OKC is. But this spot screams LeBron and Anthony Davis and LA to show up after. If they had won with the 40,000 point and they had beat Denver, I'd be all over OKC here. But because they didn't, it's like when, LeBron, when? If it ain't now.
Right. Yeah.
And they beat him twice
it's a good
already.
argument. I think you can make a good argument both cases. I mean, the back-to-back is the thing. The back-to-back is so hard for the handicap, and you really don't know. I know.
With travel.
I mean, I'm on a back-to-back. I traveled. I got to Vegas this morning. I went to sleep last night. I don't know how you guys do it on the East Coast and watch sports. I tried my best to stay up and watch both the Penguins get smoked by the Oilers and OKC close it out against the Suns. The OKC dominated the first half. Dominated. I didn't realize they were down late and came back and won.
Yep.
Maybe being overspent might be an issue tonight.
That's what I'm thinking. Anthony Davis better beat Chet Holmgren here tonight, that's for sure. Sharapan, have a good show coming up top of the hour. We'll close it out next. Game Time Decisions.
There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Yeah, we're just thinking about maybe Russell Wilson going to the Steelers, or maybe Russell Wilson even going to back up Aaron Rodgers. That would be the most Jet thing any Jet fan in their right mind could ever imagine. But it is such a reality, it's not even funny. Thanks so much for hanging out with us here. We do have a little in-game live primetime, as you guys had just heard. Dave Sharapan coming up next. Taylor Mathis, Cam Stewart. They'll take the reins here. It is a loaded night on the hardwood here between NBA action and college hoops, not to mention we've got a ton of goals right now in the NHL. So this is proving to be a pretty fun night here. 2-0 Bruins over the Maple Leafs. The Rangers out in front of the Florida Panthers, 1-0. 1-0 Flyers, Blues, and knotted up 2 apiece, Golden Knights and the Blue Jackets. And you got much more hockey still to come here, including much more NBA action looking forward to as well. And the big games in college hoops here tonight. Don't forget, Duke takes a 33-30 lead into the break against NC State. NC State's giving them everything they can handle right now, that's for sure. And coming up at 9 o'clock, top of next hour, you'll have the Baylor Bears, a little Big 12 college hoops action between Baylor and Texas. And Baylor continuing to get some money in the marketplace, seeing this up to 8 right now. They're laying against Texas here tonight in Waco. So there will be plenty of opportunities, certainly in game, for you to be able to jump in, all culminating into that OKC Laker late game, 10:30 tip-off on that one. So plenty of ways to cash a few tickets and make it a very profitable start to the week here on this Monday, March the 4th. Wow. Get ready for madness, because it's just getting started. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Game Time Decisions. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, best of luck with your plays tonight. We'll talk to you again soon.